this morning, we're going to talk about chapter 6 from the album, and it is called A Messiah for Sparrows. Um, so, the literal meaning for this song, at the end of the previous song, um, there's this abrupt sound of a thunderstorm, and the story with that was I knew that, you know, kind of copying, the idea from Slayer, raining blood. Like, I wanted to kind of do something similar, but of like an actual thunderstorm. And so, like, one night I was at work and in like the parking deck there, and this like crazy storm came out of nowhere, and I'm like, okay, let me record this from my phone. And like the immediate moment that I hit the button, just this like crazy crash of lightning just hit out of nowhere, and it was pretty close by. um so I thought that was cool. Like, basically, like, where it starts, with that thunderstorm's literally where I hit, record on my phone. And I thought that was really cool. um so, like, there's a storm going on that the protagonist finds himself, at within whatever, um, while he's on his journey. He's basically like in the middle of a field, and this hurricane, tornado, just massive storm hits out of nowhere, and like it scares the hell out of him, and he goes and hides behind basically a boulder, just scared for his life, literally. Um, and I want to point out, from my notes, like there's this middle section of the song that goes like into this like jazzy sort of down tempo sort of thing, and that song is directly influenced, by the Dillinger Escape Plan, which I'm a big fan of their music. And specifically this song, called Low Fields Boulevard. Like, middle of the song, I mean, like the beginning and the end is just chaotic because it's Dillinger Escape Plan. But like in the middle of the song, they just go into this like jazz fusion, like crazy, like improvised guitar solo, and like behind it is like some guy trying to like follow along on saxophone. Like, it's oh, I love that song so much. And I was listening to that song a lot at the time when I was, like, writing this album and dealing with all the stuff going on in my personal life. So I was like, I want to do something like that. I want to just have this like abrupt, like jazz solo sort of thing. And like, I think, like, I did some solo in like kind of in the background of that section, and I think I did maybe 3 takes of that. And it was like the first take I messed up halfway through it, hit like a wrong note. um and so, like, deleted that, recorded again, and got through it. And then, like, the third take, I was just like, I want to see if I can do better, and listened to that, and I was like, no, that second take, um, that I don't think I can hit anything that cool again. And so I stuck with that second tape, and the whole thing was improvised. Um, I specifically like read like an article or something where, oh, I forget his name, Ben something, of the Dillinger Escape Plan. Like he just like recorded that his solo like on the fly. Didn't rehearse or anything. He just plugged in and just played it. And I was like, I want to do the same thing. So that's kind of the story of that section of the song. Um, and this song really started out like lyrically in my notes with the phrase "What's a sparrow to a natural disaster?" And that like references uh, the eyes on the sparrow, he watches over me kind of lyric. And you know the whole like what Jesus essentially says in parable form, uh, in the Bible, in the New Testament, with sparrows and their worth and all that stuff. um, so like, yeah, literally, protagonist on the journey hits this storm and fears for his life. But like, the idea is that there's this like sparrow, like, which I put it kind of in the artwork for the song. But um, there's this sparrow that is like sitting on top of the rock, basically facing this storm, and is completely unaffected by it. And like, nothing happens to the sparrow. There's like some kind of miraculous thing. Um, so, allegorically speaking, I don't think that this song, and even when I wrote it, represents any one thing in particular, from my life or from my past. It's just, once again, sort of dealing with coping or living through a crisis, um, which is beyond our control in general. Um, and so, like, in a lot of ways, this song is probably the least personal on the album. But um, really, the desire that's going on with the protagonist is to get through it as soon as possible. Um, it's, I mean, it's a crisis, but I don't think that this song is as much about like a crisis that causes like anxiety or like post traumatic stress afterwards. It's just sort of like in the moment kind of crisis. And once it's gone, it's like, okay, let's get up and carry forth kind of thing. Um, and the message that I wanted to portray too, the lines that it says, what's a natural disaster to the Lord of hosts? His palms are gentle hands holding thee alone, for not one sparrow will fall to the ground without its father. Even amid the colossal fear of weather, mercy and grace clasp for the soul's protection. And so that's what's going on, is just being in a situation that's well beyond human control. And essentially, I mean, when you're talking about like a hurricane or weather system, you're talking essentially about natural law here. um, but somehow it's like you survive it. It's almost like a miraculous sort of thing, because I mean, if it's a tornado or something that's nearby, like, hiding behind a rock is not going to do a whole much of anything. But the protagonist and the bird, uh, they survive it. And that's just what this song's about, is that sort of grace and protection despite um, the most like harrowing of circumstances.